Hey guys, welcome back to another movie news, and on today's video I want to talk about the news about my favorite franchise, which is John Wick, So on April 1st or April Fool's Day, I would say, on CinemaCon, Lionsgate actually has a panel there, and half of those panel are basically talking about the next John Wick's project, and I think the announcement here is really exciting but also really kind of concerning in my opinion, because we're going to be talking about three projects on these videos, and the first one is actually the one that I'm really anticipating, is actually the untitled Caine film, the spin-off movie surrounding Donnieyen's characters, and on one hand, I think it's really, really good that Donnieyen actually has his own movies, because I think he's really amazing, on the roles of Caine. I kind of wish that he wasn't blind, to be honest, because I think it kind of really limited Donnieyen's abilities in the movie, But hey, what can you do, right? At least Donnieyen was in John Wick, so that's really, really cool, And we're officially getting the spin-off for Donnieyen's series. It was announced in, I think, May 2024, but now we have finally get an update on that, because last time we only get an update that it was written by Robert Atkins, and Yen will reprise his role as the blind characters, But in CinemaCon, it was revealed that Mattson Tomlin will write a new draft based on the previous draft written by Atkins, and it was also based on a pitch by Chad and Donnieyen themselves, and Mattson Tomlin will be writing the Batman Part 2 as well, and it was also announced that Donnieyen will be directing the movie himself, and that's a great news, because Donnieyen has been directing two movies, I think, Sakura and The Prosecutor. Sakura is like a wuxia Chinese movie. It's not my favorite, because wuxia is not exactly my favorite genre, and I think the story in Sakura was a bit all over the place. The movie ends like 5 to 10 times, I think, by the end there. It was really, really bizarre. The action is good, but the character is just like and then the second movie, The Prosecutor, is actually a much better movie with better storyline, better characters, and I was actually engaged with the drama, and of course the action is absolutely amazing. So Donnieyen has been proving twice, that he's actually a really good director, and really knows how to direct a big action movies, and in fact the last movie, The Prosecutor, he actually took some inspiration from John Wick Chapter 4, because he was involved in Chapter 4, that he wanted to bring this Hollywood quality on his Chinese movie, So I think that's really, really cool, and I am so glad that Donnieyen is gonna be the one who directed his own movies, and he's gonna have a budget from Hollywood, So I think that's a good thing, and as the project itself, it was actually described as a modern day classic Hong Kong style kung fu movie, and that's also another great thing, because you got Donnie Yen, so obviously all I can think about is like, oh, it's a classic martial arts movie, and I'm really, really glad that that's how the project has been described, modern day classic Hong Kong style kung fu movie, and yeah, we can assume that it's gonna be a bunch of martial arts sequence, and I think so far the only returning actors for the spin-off is actually Donnie Yen. I have no idea if Rina Sawayama, who plays Akira from Chapter 4, is gonna return or not, because I think this movie took place after that post-credit scene in Chapter 4, where Akira is trying to kill Caine, and I think the movie is gonna be maybe revolving around them, and Caine's daughter as well, so yeah, this is a speculation, because they don't exactly release like a plot or like a synopsis for the movies, but I think we all can assume that Rina Sawayama might be coming back for the sequel. It makes sense, and the principal photography for the movie is scheduled to commence later. That's this summer, so I think this movie might be released on 2026 or maybe early 2027, depending on the filming and the post-production process, because like editing a fight scene, obviously it's gonna take a lot of time, so we'll see about that, but yeah, that's this is like my most anticipated of the John Wick future projects, and I think I'm really, really glad that Donnie Yen is directing, and he's gonna be starring as well, and I think describing the project as a modern day classic Hong Kong kung fu movie is absolutely amazing. I love that idea so much, and I have really, really high hopes for this movie, but moving on to the second news of this John Wick futures, I would say the second news will be about the untitled animated prequel film, and it was announced way back in November, you know, where it was like Chad Stahelski said that it's gonna be like an anime style animated project, you know, and it has a Japanese art style, you know. So okay, that's a cool idea, you know. And this storyline will basically took place before the event of the first film and depicts the character's, you know, legendary impossible tasks, you know. So John Wick can leave the high table and, you know, married to Helen Wick, you know. And yeah, I am really excited to see this movie, man. I think as an anime style movie for John Wick, I think it's absolutely amazing, you know, because I think the John Wick movie itself has this like comic book look to them, you know. So I think anime Japanese art style for John Wick movies, I think that's gonna be amazing, you know. And it was announced in the CinemaCon this April that the project was officially greenlit, you know. And it was announced that Shannon Tiddle will be directing, and the script will be written by Vanessa Taylor, you know. And I think Shannon Tiddle directed several animated movies as well, you know. I think the last one he's directed is Ultraman Rising, which I haven't watched that, so I have no idea whether that was a good movie or not, you know. But he definitely has some experience in animation, you know, so that's why they choose him to direct this animated project, you know. And yeah, I think Keanu Reeves is confirming to, you know, reprising the role, you know. Basically he landed his voice acting performance for the movies, you know. And I think I'm assuming that since this is a prequel, we might see Willem Dafoe coming back as well as Marcus, right? Anybody remember Marcus, you know, from the first movie played by Willem Dafoe? I think he could come back, you know. And I think Ian McShane could also come back as Winston, you know. Again, they don't exactly release any information about the you know, the voice actors for the movie, you know. The only thing that was confirmed is obviously Keanu Reeves, you know. But I'm assuming that all the characters from the first movie might be reprising their roles, you know. It will make sense, you know. And I'm really curious to see who they're going to cast to place Viggo Tarasov, you know. The actor who plays Viggo basically passed away way back in 2017, you know, which is a shame because he is a great actor, you know, for portraying that villain in the first movie, you know. So yeah, I'm really curious to see who's they're going to cast for playing Viggo, you know, because he has to appear, right? Because like John Wick and Viggo has this relationship, and the reason why he managed to get out is because, you know, he made this deal with Viggo, you know. And I'm assuming that Santino D'Antonio characters from the second movie might also coming back, you know, because in the second movie it was revealed that John Wick actually has a marker to Santino, you know. So we can already assume that which character that could came back, you know. But the most I am really curious to see what this impossible task was, you know. And I think how amazing the animation will be, you know. I'm really hoping that it will be amazing, you know. And I think this is also a really exciting project to look forward to, you know. So Caine Spin-off is exciting because it's donnieyen, you know. That's great. And the second one, which is an anime style project, that's also amazing, you know. I really cannot wait to see like the art style of the show itself, you know, or the movie, you know. And I'm really curious to see who's the, you know, the cast for the movie itself, you know, because I'm assuming they're gonna get some actor from the John Wick 1 to came back to reprise their roles in this movie, you know, because it will make sense, right? It's a prequel to the first one, you know. And including Helen himself, you know, I think she might come back as well, you know, in the movie, you know. So I guess we'll see about that. It was exciting, you know. And moving on to the third announcement, I would say that I think this is like the least exciting announcement, to be honest. I kind of have like a mixed feelings about this. Is that John Wick Chapter 5 was announced, you know, and it was really weird, you know, because here's the thing. John Wick Chapter 5 has been in discussion for multiple times, you know, even before John Wick Chapter 4 was released. I think it was revealed that they plan to shot the movie back to back, you know. So like the John Wick Chapter 4 and 5, they were planning to shoot that two movies back to back, you know, but they didn't do that, you know. And it makes sense, you know, because I think Chapter 4 has some conclusion elements to the story, you know, because literally, spoilers, John Wick dies in the end, you know. And but there is a fifth movie here, and it is really, really weird, you know, because I think Chapter 4 for me works really well as a finale to the John Wick franchise, you know. And I get it that when something is so successful, then you want to continue that, you know. But I feel like I don't know about Chapter 5, man, you know, because I think I am really, really nervous about Chapter 5, you know, because this could ruin the John Wick legacy, and I don't want this franchise to become like Fast and Furious, where they just keep on going and keep getting really, really ridiculous with the story and the plot, and so far the John Wick movies, all four of them are really, really consistent, they all are great, but I think chapter 5 is just like, well, do we really need chapter 5, because I think the story are complete, and I think since they're gonna do chapter 5, I think Chad Stahelski said that the story for chapter 5 is actually will be a separated storyline from chapter 4, so they're not going to directly follow chapter 4 storyline, so okay, sure, it's gonna be a brand new storyline, but still, man, I don't think we need this movie, but either way, it's still happening. It was announced in April this month, obviously, that Keanu Reeves will reprise his role as John Wick, and Chad Stahelski will return to direct the movie, So I think, okay, sure, at least the two of them are involved, and I think Chad Stahelski's statement that they've been working for this franchise for for more than 10 years now. He doesn't want to see the franchise goes to shit, like he wants to keep preserving the quality of the franchise, So that's nice to hear, but chapter 5 is a really weird decision, and I'm really mostly I'm feeling really worried about the story, because I think in terms of the action sequence, I think they're gonna nail that, because obviously it's Keanu Reeves, it's Chad Stahelski, and like all four John Wick movie has some great action sequence, so I have no doubt that chapter 5 will have an amazing set pieces and action sequence as well, and I think the cinematography is gonna be really, really cool as well, but my main concern is the storyline, like how they're gonna continue this storyline after chapter 4, and I think it's just like a really weird decision, I think it makes sense why they do that, because like again, when something is so successful, then you want to continue that, but I think it's also good to end a franchise when it's actually the best, because I think chapter 4 is a really solid finale, I think there is like a 10% chance that John Wick could live, by the time you get to chapter 4, and I even have that thought as well, but the more I sit through that, the more time passes, the more I see that, okay, chapter 4 seems to be a great conclusion to the John Wick saga, and now they could potentially ruin this with chapter 5, so I don't know, we'll see about that. Hopefully it's gonna be surprisingly good, because I want this movie to still be good, to still be consistent with in terms of the quality from the first 4 movies, I want that, but I gotta be honest, man, I have a really mixed feelings about this, so yeah, I don't know, I have nothing much to say about chapter 5, besides saying the exact same thing, I have a mixed feeling. I don't know about chapter 5, I don't think it was necessary, and I'm really nervous about this, hopefully they don't ruin this, because I love the John Wick franchise so much, but either way, that's gonna be the announcement for the future of the John Wick franchise, so my question to you guys is which one of these 3 projects that you guys actually really looking forward to, is it the Caine film, the spin-off movie with donnieyen? Is it the prequel animated film, or is it actually John Wick chapter 5, and regarding with chapter 5, I am really curious to see what you guys think about chapter 5, like do you guys think this is unnecessary, or do you guys think that they should just end John Wick in chapter 4, like what do you guys think about the ending of chapter 4, do you guys think that's a solid finale, because I think most people have that same opinion that it was actually a solid finale, but I know that some small amount of people in the fan base actually did not like that, so maybe you guys actually happy that chapter 5 was announced, so who knows, so again, let me know your opinions, guys, in the comment section below, and if you guys enjoy this movie news, then make sure, guys, shoot that subscribe and like button, guys, share the videos, the usual stuff, and stay tuned for more in the future, either movie reviews or maybe even movie news, we'll see about that, I know that John Wick spin-off Ballerina is gonna be releasing this year, and that has Keanu Reeves in it, so I think that's cool. It also has Lance Reddick, so that's also really cool. We get to see Sharon one last time, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that movie. Hopefully it's good, but yeah, either way, that's it for this video, guys, and again, I hope you guys enjoy this movie news, and I'll see you guys in the next one then. Bye.